I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Deep fried pixels.
Great, good stuff. I think people are getting really cranked.
Hey. What's happening, gentlemen?
Hey, how's it going?
Another episode.
Let's act like we didn't talk to each other before this.
Yeah, right. It's like, I mean, that's how it used to be, right? That's how we used to just kind of jump on here and do it. But now we have to kind of pre-show a little bit, and it doesn't. We have to get out all the cuss words. Well, we don't get out all the cuss words. We just get out a majority of them.
Just the bad ones.
Just the bad ones. Yes. Yeah. Welcome back to another edition of Deep Fried Pixels, your source of the internet VFX buffoonery, I guess. I don't know. We're still we're workshopping. We're workshopping this whole tagline thing. I don't know. This is fun for us. We really don't care if it's fun for anyone else.
No, we are the embodiment of narcissism.
That's what we do.
Yeah, we got to ride along with Brandon on his way home from a good pump. Got a good pump there, Brandon?
I did.
You still rowing? You still doing like competitive rowing and all that kind of stuff?
Nah, I stopped that a while back, but no, yeah, just working out. Get my toes, get my diabetes under control.
Your toes under control?
Toes,
you do toe lifts? What do you do to strengthen the toes?
I got these guys we hired at the gym. There's these smaller they're smaller dudes, right? They can't be too strong. And they tie you some fishing line, about 10-pound test around each one of your toe knuckles there, and they just pull on them. And you try to contract back, and eventually
like a tug of war.
Point, once your toe wins, that guy gets fired. He's out of the gym.
If you're just the one, they have pictures of the winning toes on the wall.
Do they have a need for a stronger guy to hold for like when you work up to the big leagues?
You're the big toe guy.
Yeah, I want to be the final toe boss at your gym.
Tugger.
Yeah, I apply for that.
It's just like a giant toe and a fucking
I'm gonna
moto
spend,
thing.
dedicate like one day a month, fly out to LA, go to parties just to answer the question, "What do you do for work?" With that, I'm a boss toe tugger at
A toe boss.
toe boss. So just watch people try to do the math. Like, let's see, like a tow truck company or something. I mean, my nickname is Tow Truck. Sure, yeah, but
funny enough, but yeah, I don't actually.
Come by the gym. You have a fake card in the gym. Just come by for a free session, for a free toe strength test. See where you fall on their skin.
Oh, strength.
Is it got like the sit? It's got like the sit and reach, but it's for toes.
I went to the dentist.
You got to grip them over a board.
Here's the thing: that position needs to come with like a certificate where you get to make people call you doctor. Like I've got like a chiropractor or a dentist. You know what I mean? Like I went to the dentist. I went to the dentist on Wednesday this week, and
I went today.
And they like prepped me up, and the guy was leaving the room, and he's like, "Well, I'm just going to leave you sitting here, and the doctor will be right with you." And I looked around, and I was like, I didn't realize I was in a doctor's office, man. Holy shit! Like it was just such a funny thing. Like the jokes about him being a doctor from Horrible Bosses and what was the Hangover too made me laugh. I was like, I get it. Yeah, these guys aren't doctors.
Well, that's I asked. I had this place in Georgia that was like a chiropractor and masseuse, right? Oh. And they could somehow they were like charging your insurance, and you could go in there and get cracked, and then get an hour massage afterwards, and you pay like a $15 copay, and it was like it was amazing, but. I asked one time, like, because I was curious, how do you do this? And he's like, well, if I write a prescription, they'll pay for it if I can, if I justify it or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. But then I thought, how are you writing prescriptions?
Right. I would struggle.
You're not a doctor.
not to back it up too far, but I would struggle with the order of getting like the chiropractic adjustment and then the massage. Like which one's better?
I don't know. That's the way
Coming
they did
first,
it. I liked
right?
it.
Like,
It was great.
Yeah. No, I mean it seems good. Like you get a good adjustment, shit your pants, try not to say anything, and then you got to sit through the massage with pooped pants.
Yeah, it's
work around that and just act natural, or do you?
Well, no, you know what? The one thing that I
we do
thought was
this.
lazy about the whole situation was that you had to go into the one place to get the chiropractic thing. You had to do it back. And they told me the only way the insurance would pay for it if you did it back to back. Like you couldn't wait to do it later.
Huh.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So you had to
What
go
a
into the
rat.
one part of the building, and then you had to walk out and go to the other end of the building to go into the, the massage place. So it was.
Boy, they got a real pipeline going, don't
Dude,
they?
you know what? Their whole
Front
business.
is equal, right?
What's that?
Like if he does it back to back, that's kosher. But if you go front to front with the masseuse, that's illegal, right?
Oh yeah, no. You never want to go. You never want to put your wiener in the popcorn.
I bet their whole business.
Should
Once they figured this out that you could do this, it's like we're making a business. Like
Yeah.
that's
Right.
they were just like, hey, let's just. Do
Well, that's
this.
the way they advertise it. Actually, funny enough, I heard about it on the radio, and it just so happened the place was right down the street from my house, and so I went there, and I was like, you know what, you'll take my insurance, okay? And so I went through the whole thing, and then, hey, it worked out. I liked it. I went I think twice a week.
Nice.
Yeah, I got like an hour-long massage twice a week and a chiropractic adjustment. And I was lighting the loafers, so to speak. Well, no, that's not exactly how you use that, is it?
No, that wouldn't be. Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe you did. Maybe you switched
Yeah.
sides there for a little bit.
Like, have you guys ever used an inversion table?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, you feel just a little bit taller.
I
Like
learned
when you
about
get off of it,
you do
just
actually. You if you do it enough, you actually get a little taller
yeah, just
because
a little.
your cartilage gets more engorged with body fluids, blood or whatever.
Engorged, huh?
Well, what do you know?
They did an episode on Andy Griffith show where Barney had to. He couldn't be a deputy because he was under the requirements, and one of the things was he had to get like 2 inches taller, and he had to gain all this weight. So they decided to put chains around him. But anyways, they put him in this contraption where he's hanging, and in the show it was like, oh yeah, that's the one thing it was easy for him to do in the show was that he couldn't gain weight or do anything else right, but it was interesting. They just reminded me of that show. It was interesting. It was a weird thing because he was hanging like this in a closet. It was just like this weird head fucking hammock thing. It was odd. Like David
That's where your
Carradine
mind went there. I love it.
Yeah,
It's good. It's good.
yeah,
Well, welcome back, everybody. I've already said that, but I'll say that again.
yeah.
It
It is.
has been a long week. It's been a long week. I don't know about for everybody else, but
Yes.
for myself, it's been just been running around, crazy. But
Lord's having me do all kinds of weird things these days.
it's funny. It's mysterious. It's all mysterious. In all of it, his ways are mysterious.
Yeah.
But yet here we are. So at least that worked out.
So there is a bit of a problem we ran into, Brian. I don't think you were on at this point, but we got the wrong movie.
What do you mean we got the wrong movie? Oh, Dragonheart wasn't inside the damn box.
No. That's a sequel. The direct to video sequel.
New beginning.
Oh. Was it what? Did everyone watch? Did you watch that one and we all watched the other one?
No,
No,
Did we
I
all
watched
watch the wrong
Dragonheart.
one?
I'm gonna
We
check that.
stick with Dragonheart, I think.
Yeah. Like that. As a matter of fact,
You know
we
what?
could.
We could say
You
this
know.
is an inspiration. We got to go back to the roots
I think
before
we're-
we.
No, I think so. And why not just roll right into it? I mean, it was, even though that's not in perfect deep fried pixels way, none of us watched the correct movie.
I'm a I mean, we'll just say version 1, man. We've got notes.
Hey, man.
Nobody,
Listen, we had a week to get this out, guys, and we could not do that.
Version
It was
one.
not
none of
enough
us,
time.
none of
Man,
us
I
read
read the cliff notes and everything, man. Damn.
I'll admit, I didn't read the wiki. I just kind of jumped in and started shooting from the head. Anyways, I started blasting.
You just start telling your wife, you're like, leave me alone today, woman.
Yeah.
I got a lot of investigation to do about
She's
this
like,
movie.
you come up for dinner to help put the kids to bed and be like, not now, I'm watching Dragonheart.
Oh,
Frame
man,
by
what a-
frame.
You have any idea?
It
I'm
was
in the
it was
thick- I'm in
a
the
it was a
thick of it.
strange watch. To me, it was Dragonheart was a like my daughter's 8, right? Like so when she becomes the age to just be, well, I guess they're not really going to be the age to flip through channels, but let's say they were flipping through and finding one of those late night shows. They'd be like, what the hell did my parents watch? Like there's one of these old shitty shows that my parents watched. Like it was, but it wasn't. It was good and bad at the same time. Like it made me happy how crappy it was at points. But then there were some times when I'd look at it and go like, okay, I'd buy that. That works.
It was
Whenever he was in the dark, I thought it looked great. There were times they hit him kind of like in Jurassic Park, because this was right on the tails of Jurassic Park. They'd hide him behind like mist and dark and stuff like that. And I was like, that was pretty fucking good. Like,
Yeah.
There were times they did a good job. I can imagine if you were to go back through and recomposite that movie, like it would be like you could take that dragon as is and make it look a million times better with some good compositing, right? Like, but they just didn't have the ability to do all that. You could tell by the use of the noise pattern in the when the dragon died and the nice little light and noise pattern. That it had
because particles weren't really much of a
no,
thing.
I mean they were and weren't, right? Like there, it wouldn't have been possible to do something like that. What I'm sure someone envisioned it to look like, but there's zero chance that's what they envisioned it to look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the movie was a little ambitious for its time, even though it was for what they did at the time. When was the movie?
There's
again?
a ton of shots too. That was the thing.
That's what I mean. Like, so some of them were way
94,
better
I
than
think?
others.
It was 20 minutes of fully CG dragon. 23 minutes.
What year was it?
I think 94.
Was it 94? Really? I thought it was a little later.
94,
than that.
95 maybe. 95.
What was right after Jurassic Park? So
It was after.
Jurassic Park was 93.
yeah, and the what was it? There was my favorite shot is when Draco picks up. He snatches Bowen. He grabs him in his mouth because they actually built a robotic mouth.
Did
Like,
you
you can
see
tell
the
when you're watching
tongue
it.
he was flopping on? That
Yeah.
See, that stuff makes me laugh. I love that,
That
stuff
was a
so
real
much.
tongue. That was a robot tongue licking his butt.
Robot tongue.
Yeah.
I know, but it was all there was some things that were like, some of it, like his fingers and stuff at times when they do like a close up where you just see the rubber, like when he held him down on the ground.
Yeah,
That one time you could just see these big rubber fingers over top of him. It was pretty funny, but
Well, did you know that it was originally going to be stop motion, and they developed, if I'm not mistaken, they developed a system where they'd like pose the maquette, right? And like, let's say he goes from here to here, and then when you triggered the frame on the camera, it would also trigger the movement the next pose, so that you actually got motion blur with the stop motion. Because they didn't have optical flow I guess they did because they did Jurassic Park, but motion blur was probably a lot harder to make then, right? And so you could actually have baked in motion blur with stop motion, which was it was too expensive, too convoluted.
not back then. I mean, you had an animated directional blur that changed things around the late 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying, but with that camera system, they would have had real motion blur,
They
right?
would have been able to,
Thing would have moved. Yeah. But anyway, they scrapped it, went full CG. But honestly, it was pretty good. Like you said, for the time, 23 minutes, and what was it? Jurassic Park was, I think, like half that, if even that.
Well, we all know how production goes too. It just looks like they ran out of time because there were some shots like when you first see Draco and like you were saying, like when he's in the dark and all that, all those shots look great. All that stuff looks great. And there's times, when they show even him where the skin looks so much better, but like lighting, the CG lighting was terrible. Like, there was things, but they just didn't have the ability to do it back then. For what it was back then, I do agree. It looked really great, but it also looked a lot like there was at times where it looked like the dinosaur from Toy Story.
Yeah. The design of the design of the dragon kind of was tough on.
There was one of them I saw it laying there, and it was just these super flat textures on his wings that you could see were these really low quality textures, and I was like, ah.
Mhm.
But I mean, I always had to keep reminding myself it was, mid '90s.
I thought the animation was pretty good though, like the direction of it and everything like that. Like in that, I watched that making of, and there were times where I guess they referenced every Sean Connery movie. The director made VHS tapes of all of his performances, but like he made a tape for anger, a tape for like being pedagogical, and like all the different types of emotion, gave those to the animators. So like when they wanted to make him angry, they had 40 years of Sean Connery being angry on film that they'd reference for like to make the dragon kind of move and
I would be
mannerise.
very angry if somebody gave me that.
That's
much
really
reference
cool.
or something. Actually,
That's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
cool, but
it's
Who knows how much they used it, but
at the
it was
same
cool.
time, hey, here's some stuff that we want you to look at for this next project. It's Sean Connery's entire canon.
Right? Yeah.
Familiarize yourself with it.
It was really just like if you imagine now you have like a reference folder because like they even did essentially a precursor to what's the word, CineSync, right? Where because he was the director, Cohen was working in Rome, and then the team that was ILM, right? They were in the Bay Area, and so they'd have like a satellite link video. He'd be talking to the animators. He could see them, but they couldn't see him. So he'd be taping himself while he's giving them notes, and he's like doing like mannerisms and stuff for reference. And then he'd send the VHS tapes to them so they could watch them. And but they did like live as you could be reviews, and he'd be watching shots and like talking to the animators and stuff over like satellite phone, I guess, or whatever. But
It's pretty.
it was
It's
I
pretty
remember
nice.
sending my first demo reel in on a little tape.
yeah, dude.
Those little
I remember
5-minute
sending my
tapes.
VHS
Oh my
ones.
god, I made so many of those.
that'd be a cool way to send in a demo tape now. You were trying to get a job, send in a VHS.
Dude, that'd be
It'd
fantastic.
actually be pretty great. I might have some old ones somewhere.
Yeah.
And then the VHS just rolls up, and it's just a giant QR code.
Right. Yeah, that would be funny. That would be amazing.
I love that actually.
Just
Yeah.
fucking. It takes you to the site to buy the VHS tape. Constant fucking cycle of shit.
And it's like
You just go in a loop. I've been buying your tapes and watching them for 3 months. I can't seem to get in contact with you.
And it's just and you have a picture of Zach dissatisfied in the corner. He's like this. And then in each one, he's more dissatisfied each time. He's like, "Are you gone yet? Are you still on this thing?
Yeah,
What's going on?"
Increasingly gets a little more pissed.
I don't want any of this.
some really awkward home movie is
If you
like
read your
accidentally in there.
Sorry, Josh.
Fine.
Oh yeah, just each time it just gets a little bit higher each time. No, but hey, Dragonheart though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we-
I mean, it's the product.
Should we
of its
rate it?
time. Yeah.
Like, what do we give them? We don't have a rating system, guys. What do we give it? Like
We could so on cinemas or
chicken
we could,
fingers? We give it little
yeah.
little fingies.
Oh yeah,
We
drumsticks.
could give it
maybe.
Oh, nice.
How many tendies?
many canes?
How many tendies do we
How
give
many
them?
tendies?
How many tendies?
You could eat maybe
Out of what, like 5?
By
This
delicacy.
is a weird metric.
Yeah,
What's our,
5 tendies. Or are we
I
going?
gave it 3 mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, well, you can do that too. You can do it. Yeah, we just have
give
tempura
it,
shrimp. We can
if
do
we're doing, like,
tempura
say-
shrimp one day. Something fried that pertains to the movie. What would be something fried that would pertain to Dragonheart?
Fried
5
heart.
bags of popcorn.
We can't do that. We don't want to be
No,
sued
no.
by
Let's
on
see.
cinema
Let's,
because they would.
What about like a chicken wing? That's like
Chicken
that's
wing's
like
good.
like a dragon wing.
Chicken wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just our chicken wing
Get
bones.
5 wings.
5 wing bones. All right. Well, how many?
They're all eaten up. Each one. They're full, and it's
Sons of
me going
bitches.
by chopping, and it's the bones left afterwards.
I mean, I'm down.
You got to make that graphic.
I can.
Dude,
I'll do that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Let's
So
get a
how
graphic
many?
guy
I'll
out of
start
it.
us off. I give it 3 chicken bones.
Out of
3
what?
fried chicken bones. Yeah, like it was
Out of
entertaining.
5?
Out of 5, I give it 3. Like it was, and even like I said, I think it was a little ambitious for the time because even we all understand how production works. So they would have had to start. They were doing animations and stuff in 92, 93 for that thing, right? Like so, I think it was a little ambitious for the time for them to go straight into. Hey, we had a nice successful movie with Toy Story. Let's make a full action dragon movie. It was right after that. So. I think it could have been a better movie. It definitely wasn't in Dennis Quaid's. Wasn't in his.
Wheelhouse.
Tread carefully.
Yeah.
I want to say
get
it wasn't
Randy
in his
on you.
prime. He wasn't in his prime. I'll just say he wasn't in his prime. And then and some of the side characters were a little forced. I will say. I loved the how like they had these like 17-year-old dragon slayers that would come into camera and be like,
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of realistic, right? Like if you're going wherever it took place, most people probably didn't really live past 25. So those guys were like,
okay, fair enough. But they
Seasoned men in their
literally
prime.
looked like a production assistant.
yeah, the guy that they were definitely guys that they just grabbed out of a nearby
Absolutely.
pub. Like, hey, you lads want to make some money and be in a movie? And they're like,
Some British pub in LA.
Uh-huh.
It's got anything to do with me, bum?
Nope, they were in Czechoslovakia.
Bum stuff.
Yeah.
So they were like probably Czechoslovakian dudes they just picked
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I give it 3. I give it 3. Who's next?
I'll go. I'll give it. I guess a 3.5 wings. If I can do it the half.
wings.
Or can I just? I'll do
I gotta
3.
a fucking half wing graphic now. A half a chicken bone graphic.
I'll just give it a 3. Yeah, like I said, I think it's all right. I cried like a baby at the end.
Although you could say that it's
Should've shot.
a 3 would be a 3 with a half a chicken bone is interesting because I would want to know how did you get half a chicken bone? Like how did that happen?
It's probably just because I'm more. I guess I'm not as objective because since of the CG and stuff. I thought that was very innovative. At the time. So that's why it's a half. I don't know.
All right.
But it's more of a personal thing, so I don't know. But if it's just technicalities, maybe just 3 out of it. Let's just say 3. That's my final answer.
All right. I'm glad we whittled that out of you.
like a worm coming out of a cat's butt. Is that what they say? There?
Exactly. Zach, speaking of worms,
I'll give it a 3.5. Loudly and proudly. I'll give it a 3.
This
I'll give it a 3.
thing. Like,
I'll give it. Well,
we establish a decimal system in our chicken wing.
Yeah, we're not. I'm not giving it no quarter or nothing. There ain't no such half measure. With wings, it makes sense to have half, right? Because of the drummy, you got one whole wing, but with the wings, you have 2 wings, so you can snap it in half, and you get a half wing that way.
Okay, well, okay. Since we're on this subject, let's just pause this whole thing real quick. To me, I remember a time where chicken wing was the drummy and the wing. When you got chicken wing,
That's
you
a
got the
full wing.
drummy
Yeah.
and the wing. You didn't get a choice of both. You got both. That's what you got.
Yeah, it was like now. Well,
Right, that's fine.
someone smart just said, "Fuck it, we're not doing that. We're
We're gonna cut these things in half and charge them twice.
go ahead, see what happens."
Yeah, it just angers me. Stupid buffaloes. Anyway, go ahead.
So my my three full wings goes towards the VFX. At the time it was pretty unprecedented, big workload, dealing with some pretty limited stuff. I thought they were clever about how they implemented it. It suffers from the same kind of technical limitations that everything else from that time period suffers from, which is that the footage is always composited in, and after it goes through a transfer or two, it loses all the range and the shadows and it looks really washed out, which is a dead giveaway for the 3D, right? And that's still we're seeing that through on stuff that's all the way through, like the Matrix and all that kind of stuff. Like the Matrix hasn't held up in a fantastic way in that regard either, and I'm nitpicking. That's a nitpicky thing. but for like the animation in it was all pretty well done, man. I was really like, there's a few shots where I was like, dang, for the time, that's like a legit animator got a hold of that.
Dude, yeah,
And then there were sometimes where the weight was
right?
really bad on it sometimes. But
Yeah, there was a lot of that stuff. So I mean, from an overall standpoint, the lift of what that project was, man, Tippett Studio, gangbusters as per usual. The half a wing doesn't have anything to do with the VFX. The half a wing for me was the Quaid Bush bidet shot where he falls down and they drag him on his ass through the bushes for about 50 yards. That was pretty incredible. And then when Dennis Quaid is teaching King Joffrey how to fence, and he's just like goes into that Matrix moment where he's like pouring himself a beer or whatever he was having, still just fending off the kid. That was
oh, it was
pretty good.
And still you're dead.
There was a lot, yeah. There was a lot of those kind of little like funny, silly, haha moments that were just overall, man. It was so like that film really walked the line of taking itself seriously and not really taking itself seriously. At the end of the day, it irks me that they picked Sean Connery for the dragon. It just, you can't have the same guy that delivers that film as the voice of a dragon and is the guy that he plays in everything else, but namely the Rock, where he's like,
they came out at exactly the same time.
Yeah, when it go home and fuck the prom queen. That you can't. I want to see the dragon tell that to Dennis Quaid now. Like, there's just those two things are irreconcilable in my mind. Like with if they would have made the dragon the design, it could again. It comes back to the. Pardon me while I have a stroke here. Again, it comes back to the design of the dragon with Sean Connery's voice. I think they could have bloked up the dragon a bit more instead of kind of having what they ended up with looked a lot like it preceded it, but it looked like the dragon from Shrek, like a cutesy kind of storybook kids dragon.
I don't know, dragon from Shrek can even look better sometimes.
It doesn't need to be like a Game of Thrones big scary dragon. I get it that the film was targeted probably towards younger kids, but
I do not appreciate dragons that shoot fire out of their nose. I do say that.
Yeah, that was weird, huh? Like he's just the wasabi. He was like the wasabi snooter dragon.
Yeah, that was a little strange. I was like,
when he was.
It made me think that I'm not real sure if I've ever seen another dragon shoot it out of their nose.
So in my opinion, man, one of the best dragon films out there, pre Game of Thrones, we'll say Game of Thrones is a great dragon benchmark film. Reign of Fire, has some incredible, and there's some really cool behind the scenes stuff in it too. Where they had, I remember it every time I think of it, anything like blasting fire. I remember they had these guys on a boom truck in the behind the scenes with these two hoses just spraying fire into a courtyard, and I was like, oh my god, I want to work on movies.
Right.
I feel like that awoken my Danny McBride's character in Tropic Thunder, like inside. I was just like, Jamie Lee Curtis, your eyebrows will be mine.
So maybe we do like just like we take a cue from On Sentiment, and if we do you give it 3 chicken wings, and then you give it a little something extra. So what would you give it? Like Sean Connery's beard, or
three chicken wings
and Sean Connery's beard,
and a slap on the butt, and a run along now, sweetheart, man.
There you go. That's the half. That's the 0.5.
Yeah, there's the 0.5 for you.
How about you, Stevens? Did you watch the correct movie?
I did. Yeah. I didn't watch it on VHS, but
so you watched it basically in a very terrible. It was a terrible viewing experience.
Yeah, it's a half measure if you watch it any other way. But I'd give it 4, honestly. And if it because I feel like they nearly did as good as they could have at the time. Like my biggest disappointment was that the first shot they showed it was the hands when he's there because they don't really reveal the whole dragon at first. It's just a shadow, and then his hands when he gives that piece of his heart. that's probably the worst shot in the movie, I thought. And I was like, why is that the first time we're seeing the dragon or a part of him? Like, especially if it's just his hands, they had a practical hand. Like, they could have figured out a clever way. Again, I'm not meaning to talk shit, but like, I was just surprised at like the level of the work, again, for the time, for the rest of the movie. It was just so out of character, in my opinion. But anyway, I give it 4. Not for necessarily a quality movie. I think it's really fun. I loved it as like a 12-year-old boy or whatever age I was. I saw it. As an adult, I'm like, yeah, it's a movie for kids, but it's still fun. But yeah, and I agree. I think they drag it with Zach. He was a little too cute for it being Sean Connery, but no, I thought it was good, man. Like we said before, the animation, the compositing was pretty damn good in some shots, and they even did really cool shit with the practical team, like for him going through the waterfall. They had air cannons for when he breached it. They dropped like a
There
big
was actually
drum.
some good water work. I noticed that too when he came up out of the water that time when he was under the water. That was, you know,
A lot of it was real water. There was one that was like a full CG water thing where he's looking at the sheep and he's like, "Hello."
Yeah.
So that waterfall. Let's talk for a second. Let's talk for a second about that waterfall. Like, it's obviously a whole set, and did they just legit throw up a waterfall on a backlot somewhere?
Nope.
Yeah,
So
I bet.
somebody that needs commending on that movie, along with like VFX practical and all the other trades, was the production designer. They built. If you look at that movie and look like, because I watched the whole behind the scenes, and there was a lot they built. And Mr. Cohen, Rob Cohen, the director, this movie was in his heart, like the dragon's heart. He said that they the production designer on it, he's like, this production designer can build anything anywhere, and they did build a real waterfall. And I don't know if that waterfall was a real one or a built one, but they did build some kind of waterfall contraption.
Yeah, it was a built waterfall for sure. All the rocks were obviously, as an environment guy, all the rocks were. It looked
Some Disney Imagineers.
It had a weird for the rest of everything that they did, man. That set specifically stuck out to me as like, what the.
Yeah, that very first when they first walked to that waterfall, it was a really shitty set. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I
and then there was
noticed that
like
too.
and they did some
Very
other
Willy
weird,
Wonka-esque.
They did some other weird stuff in there that didn't make any sense to me. Like they had while he's sitting, at some point an eyeball opens up where like they're sitting, like the guy who's trying to do the
he's
poet,
sitting on a rock.
he's sitting on a rock, and an eyeball opens up like it's a dragon, and then they don't ever address it again. You know, and at one point
they
he's
do never
like,
address it. He changes colors. He never changes colors again.
Yeah, I'm the last one. Like it's kind of okay. So was that him out there at the waterfall? Like,
It was.
And if
He never used that power again, but that was him, like camouflage.
it was him. He's a chameleon.
Yeah.
So,
He just only did it one
I
time.
don't know. Odd choices, odd storytelling choices. But hey, man, who am I to judge what's close, dear, and integrated into Rob Cohen's heart?
Right.
I can imagine the render time back then too.
Oh yeah, everybody was on a there was plenty of render benders.
So many video toasters just burning up.
If you didn't see the whole behind the scenes, there was a previs of the dragon where they took the T-Rex from Jurassic Park and they just stretched his neck. And so there's a version of the dragon that has the head of the T-Rex from Jurassic. It looks hilarious.
No way.
It's kind of creepy, but like kind of funny too.
That's weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what do you give it? What's your score there, Stevens?
I'd give it a 4. 4 wings and a Aiden's heart, the villain. Aiden. That's his name, right? Einen.
Well, you give him his heart. Well, that's also the dragon's heart as well.
his heart before.
Oh,
he
his old
fixed.
dead heart from like the beginning
His
of the movie.
wretched heart.
Oh,
Yeah,
his
the wretched, his wretched one.
wretched heart from the very beginning of the movie. It's all
Pierced
rigorous.
wretched heart.
Yeah, but 12 years later, right? Like so that heart's somewhere.
Mhm.
Well, excellent. So, do we? Do you have the bag, or do we pick for again for next week?
Always got the bag.
Sorry,
just carrying around everywhere.
the sack of cinema.
Yeah.
We need to get you a sticker for the sack. It's got a hole in the sack of cinema. We need.
Oh yes.
Josh doesn't like to do things properly like that. He doesn't like to untie things. He just cuts like his shoelaces. He goes through.
He just punches through the bag every single episode and pulls out a movie.
Here comes.
Terminator. Oh wait,
Yeah.
the original Terminator.
Okay, it's the Terminator.
It's the. I just want to make
Which
sure
he
this
too would have been awesome.
It's not Terminator something and some porn.
It's like the Asylum. What was that company that made like rip-offs of all the movies? I should just get a bag of those.
The Asylum, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm down to watch some Sharknado versus Sam Squatch.
Oh man, they make some beautiful work. I will say, like, look, I get it, but yeah, they do some beautiful stuff. I love it.
I agree.
I watched Sharktopus versus what was it the other day?
It was a bear or something, right?
Yeah, it was some kind of. It was like piranha bear or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
God, that's beautiful.
It's so good.
Just what a in the full-on spirit of total just stupidity.
And then you had Cocaine Bear, which I thought was really good for like the first 20 minutes. I thought, okay, this is going to be a fun ride. And, for like the first 20, 25 minutes, I was like, okay, I'm into this. This is going to be great. And then it just fell off the planet.
Yeah, I never watched it. Whenever somebody sent me a link to it, it was always in my mind. It was that moment in Pee-wee's Big Adventure where Dottie's like, "Do you want to, see the rest of the movie?" And he says, "I don't need to watch it, Dottie. I lived
it." You're too busy suing for the rights.
Dottie.
Yeah, I've owned this .com for years.
It's just all those movies are based off fucking someone just getting high and buying a bunch of fucking domains, and they're like, "Oh, you gotta do something with them, man.
You gotta do something with them."
Just sitting on these bad dogs, man, just trolling them. Waiting for my opportunity to jump up on the bridge.
Yeah, I just got one the other day that I bought Zuma Claus, and Zuma Claus may be worth $300. I literally got one just the other day. Yeah.
ZumaClaus.io or .edu?
.com.
Wow.
Zuma Claus. We bought it during the 2020, right before Christmas, when Zoom started going off. We're like, you know what? Yeah. This Christmas we should buy Zuma Claus.
Wow.
That totally didn't. Zoom really shit the bed there, didn't they? Like as far as all the VoIP kind of services, as far as like I think it's more like what's the big ones now, like Teams and all that kind of stuff.
Slack.
Yeah, it's like there's just because Zoom. Nobody really Zooms much.
I
anymore.
I do a lot of Google meetings though too.
Yeah, but nobody really Zooms anymore.
Yeah, everyone's like, and it's just like. I have to like open it up.
I can't tell you the last time I Zoomed.
I'm on the occasional Zoom.
Oh yeah. Is there anybody really swimming around in Zoom world anymore?
Not too much.
It's like Omegle,
it sounds too much like a Zune, like the old Microsoft Zunes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
cool.
Those were not cool.
They were cool. They were pretty good.
They were. They were what everyone got when they wanted an iPod. There's not one person that asked for one of those for Christmas, and they always everyone asked for an iPod and got one of those.
Who hurt you?
Yeah.
Who hurt you? It's not your fault.
I was an iPod owner. I never owned one.
It's not your fault.
Actually, funny enough, the girl I dated at the time, her parents gave her one.
A Zune?
A Zune. It had better. I do remember at the time it had better like little. You could play a couple little games on it. I don't remember which ones they were, but it had better little games on it than the iPod had at the time, but that was it.
You could customize you could hack the iPod. You ever heard of Rockbox?
I did. I hacked mine back then.
Rockbox.
Yeah, you could get games and all kinds of stuff. It essentially was like kind of between an iPod and a Zune at that point. Like
I jailbroke mine and ran whatever.
Oh yeah, I guess that's what
whatever it was on there. It was I jailbroke it and then was able to install a whole bunch of different stuff on there. I remember people were going crazy because they were just like, I bricked my phone. And I was like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, you might not want to do that.
Yeah, I'm a guy hacking the iPods and all that stuff was wild back then, man. Do all the mods on the video game consoles and stuff too.
That stuff. Somebody who did that. I worked with somebody who actually did that stuff for a while, and they were telling me stories about it. And it was mind blowing. They were talking about how they would just like basically hunt and peck. Just it's the equivalent of you're in a dark room and you're just like, okay, reach out, feel in all directions. Did you hit a wall? No, take a step forward. and keep going until you like hit a wall and then map out the room that way. Like that's essentially what a lot of those guys are all doing, and like figuring out how to like figuring out the mechanics of the game. And I'm just like, what a crazy way to spend your time, man.
Oh God.
As a teenager with nothing but like time, and you've got tons of boundless energy, and you're just kind of like looking to prove yourself somehow. Okay, yeah. But as an adult now, I hear about that kind of stuff, and I'm just like, no fucking way.
Yeah, that's like those. What is it? What do you call it? The ASCII art stuff?
Oh, ASCII art.
Yeah, like that's really cool to me. But like, what a waste of time.
Agreed.
What a wasted skill you took a long time to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm, speaking directly to, I don't know, do you guys do that as a side hustle or?
No, anytime I do, because whenever I write scripts, I always include ASCII art with it, just as a header file to
like those old fucking ROMs and stuff you get.
Just because when I open it up, I see it and I kind of fucking laugh, just like, haha, that's just here we go again. But I was just did an image to ASCII generator to create it, because why the fucking hell would you type it out by hand?
That's what I mean. Like, if you use a generator, that's cool. Like, I mean, I think the art itself is really cool. How it actually but like, there were generally people that would figure that shit out, and I think it's a wasted skill.
That's like some of my favorite stuff is like on a phone when you're texting, and people will do like the bigger picture out of all the emojis. Like the dude with like he'll be like a guy with like a top hat, and his hand is like an airplane or something like that, and he's pounding off like something like that. It's just hilarious to me, man. I'll never forget. Like I had a bunch of those things. Like I found them on the internet, copied them, pasted them into a text editor so I could just have them in my holster ready to like send to people on a text and be like, there.
You were just making
take that.
Super religious imagery full of porn.
And that was well, I mean, we got to bloom more.
Mary Magdalene's stuck in the dryer in this hole, boys, in the wall.
Oh no, step Jesus.
Help me, step Jesus.
I was gonna say we got to bloom where you're planted, but we just took a hard left turn there.
My apologies. Didn't mean to sidetrack you.
Nah, not at all, man. It's the name of the game.
Steven, you got yourself going on set anytime soon?
No. Well, tomorrow I'm shooting some elements sort of for a horror movie I'm working on. That's, I think, not quite produced by Sam Raimi. I think I mentioned it before, but he's like involved somehow. His daughter's in it. A friend of mine's directing it, and so her and I are shooting like we're shooting her hands as like sort of stunt hands, and then like a hat, and then some other stuff that I'm comping. But no, I don't really go on set anymore. Honestly, we got the movie. We're making a movie, me and the Ledoux soon. But that I've been like production designing. I just finished drawing like 300 something storyboards for, but no real like no studio set stuff coming up really.
That's cool. Like I've always thought that that's so much. I think all of us have been on set a little. I don't know about Zach, how much you've been on set, if you go on a lot or whatnot. I know Brandon's been on set quite a lot, but I think out of all of us, you've probably been on it the most. I love hearing set stories, right? Because just set life is just a whole bunch of standing around, right, and waiting for stuff. So a lot of buffoonery happens. So tell us a good set story, like a something that you you probably have to not disclose names that you saw.
I got a good one. So there was a movie. I won't say when it was or what the movie was,
sure.
Because it would very much give away who did this. But there was a movie I was on, and the lead talent was having some self-induced chemical imbalances, let's say. Oh. And he was having there was this growing kind of tension. Actually, pretty cool guy, but he was going through something, I think, like definitely going through something. Because after this, we shut down. But he ended up throwing a tantrum one day, ripped down some backdrop, all this stuff, and we had to shut down. We ended up shutting down for a little while, and then when we came back, it was pretty much a sweetheart, you know. And like he and I had, he would bum a smoke off me every once in a while, and we'd talk, and we got to kind of talk about it. And I was like, the movie ended up being a little better because of it, honestly. So it was like a weird blessing in disguise. But it was the weirdest thing I was like, what? It was like kind of being
Full
there
meltdown.
for like, yeah, it was pretty crazy. And also, like, honestly, feel bad for the guy. That's why I wouldn't like say who it was or anything.
Of course.
At the same time, I'm not excusing the behavior either. But like, whatever drove him to that he wasn't in a normal state of mind. Let's say, you know.
Yeah.
But
Right.
It was pretty nutty. Anyway,
Yeah.
I've done pretty stupid shit before, you know. Like,
I was just about to say that. I was like, yeah, I've done some dumb stuff myself. And I don't
he just
know,
happened to be a public figure, you know.
maybe not
So-
in front of that many people. I
Oh
would imagine
man,
there's a bunch of
right?
people.
Jeez, I'd be canceled, guys. I'll be straight with you.
yeah.
Zach
well,
would be on the Zach.
figures out.
Zach would come out and be like,
Oh, no,
"I
I
was
got
never his friend."
Well, we have an over
This
under
is
of
a
who's getting
monster.
Brandon,
canceled
Brandon,
first,
who?
What? Sorry.
That young Brandon Young character. Oh yeah. Ugh.
Oh, that Korean boy.
Touch with a 10-foot pole, man.
The craziest, though, honestly, I can say what this was because it ended up in the movie. Fast Five, first movie I ever did visual effects on. Before that, I was a set PA, and my job on the train unit for the train heist they do at the beginning of the movie was to guard the train tracks in the middle of the desert where only crew was going to be there. So me and this guy, our job was literally to hide from the sun. And like once or twice a day, when somebody would come close to the train tracks, we'd be like, "Hey, there's a train coming. Don't get on the tracks." Like that was our job. And so so we're standing there, and they do this bit. There's a big stunt when the truck that the
You were
hero
employed to be one of
family-
those signal bars for the day?
We didn't even know. We were the signal.
Hey.
And I was known as, nobody knew what I looked like because I had made this mask to keep my face out of the sun. So I always had I had a woman's scarf because it was really thin. I wrapped it around my face like the Invisible Man, and then sunglasses over it. So people had all these stories like, yeah, that guy's allergic to the sun. And like people had all these weird stories about like who I was or what I was. And
He's
so,
a daywalker.
Guy's allergic to the
He's a
sun.
skinwalker.
So I'm standing there wrapped up, and people would call me some now would be considered non-PC things and stuff like that.
Like
Anyway,
albino freak.
well, more people of an Eastern. Anyway, we won't get into it. But
Orientals.
no, it's anyway. We're standing there guarding the track, and it's a stunt when the truck with the family on it is, the family is coming to jump and like they were supposed to land next to the train, and like their truck was gonna like latch to the train and ride with it, right? So, the producers kept saying, "We want this jump to be big. We want it to be big." And the special effects guy was kind of like overalls wearing dude that like had invented shit that NASA uses and stuff, like crazy genius dude, but like good old farm boy kind of guy. And he's like, "They want a big jump. I'm gonna give him a big jump." And so he
God damn, dude, that's awesome. That's like Brian's older brother or something. He had one.
I was 10 feet away from, maybe 15, from a train wreck. Because instead of the truck jumping and landing next to the train, it ended up going too far, embedded itself in the train, and the thing tilted. I'm standing here, and the train's tilting toward me. And
my
I'm like,
God.
and then it ended up in the movie. They were like, "Oh, we have to change it. We only have one train. We didn't expect the train."
One train, damn it.
Nobody expects the train.
Nobody.
I used to have. I wish I had it on me. I had like
It's like the
video
guy in Tropic
footage.
Thunder.
Yeah, what they still talk to about you this day about the daywalker?
The Daywalker. Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
It was
He's a
there's this
vampire.
dude we worked on set with. I ain't sure where he was from, but I got me an
I'm
idea.
not even real sure he was a dude.
I think
So
it
anyway,
was,
we was filming this scene of a bunch of people jumping the border. And, so anyway, it's got something to do with family. But anyway, how this train derailed, jumped the tracks, and a guy in a pickup truck just right in there, man, darting aboard. Train jumped the tracks, and that was it.
Bunch of dudes jumped out the back with brooms, start beating the fire.
Son of a gun, man! I couldn't believe it.
It was fun though.
Yeah, I would imagine, and it was too like there's lots of bagel eating going on in set too, and it's having a car explode into a train while eating a bagel is a pretty good morning.
I want some bagels now.
Bagels are good, man.
And a train
I want a good bagel.
A good bagel?
I want a proper bagel.
You like a nice
New
crispy on the
York
outside,
City.
but nice and chewy. You like those
Yeah.
good kind, or-
Well, I went to Larry King's. I was invited to his grand opening, actually.
Invited?
Yeah.
like by Larry.
Yeah. He. Well, if you signed up.
Okay.
So
all right. That changes everything. All right.
that's more my level, right?
Stand
That's more
down.
believable for me.
Stand down, boys. I'll call you back in here if he says anything worth hearing.
Yeah, reel it back in.
And their bagels they're really good. They filter the water, and it's supposed to taste like Brooklyn bagels because the company's called Water Brooklyn Bagel Company or something like that.
We import our water straight from Brooklyn.
It's just some fucking old Jew back there just sweating. Hey, what are you doing? Get out of here! Whoosh.
Like just sitting.
He's got some leaves. He's just hitting himself in a sauna.
Marshall, what do I look like?
taking a
Do
bath.
I look like a bagel machine? A robot? What do you? I'm using my hands back here, not any type of machinery or equipment. I'm understaffed and over demanded. This is ridiculous.
Look at my hands are prunes.
And a break. My arthritis is killing me. I got a fissure in my ass the size of Yellowstone.
These good bagels, huh? Good bagels.
Lawrence,
That's the kind of bagel I want. Yes.
Sorry, yeah.
now is it true that Larry King is related to Martin Luther King?
Actually, is BB King.
BB King. Well, there's a lot of there. I heard that all the Kings are actually slightly related, right? They're like second and third cousins or something.
Kind of
Absolutely.
like the Jeffersons.
About Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like anybody with the last name Jefferson is always a direct descendant of Thomas Jefferson.
Even Wheezy?
I didn't
In
know
my
that.
mind,
That's cool.
I'm just guessing. That's the way my mind likes to play.
It's like because there has to be some Jeffersons from New Zealand or some bullshit. Man. Oh, but you're right. Maybe yeah. Maybe
Jefferson's not a real New Zealand name, I don't think. Though I don't know that I could come up with a New Zealand sounding name offhand.
Oh, it's just like English names, right?
Well, if it was New Zealand, you couldn't have a Jefferson in New Zealand. It would have to be Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Sorry.
Be Jefferson.
Would you like a burrito or enchilada?
Yeah. No, nobody bought the name. Nobody bought that name here.
Yeah.
Jefferson.
That's pretty good.
No, don't think I've had him.
Jefferson?
Don't reckon I've had him.
Did you hone this accent while you were there?
No, I've never been to New Zealand.
Well, I mean, in Australia, though.
Oh.
I mean, imagine you rented a lot of New Zealanders, right?
Sounds the same.
I was out in the middle of nowhere.
They're not too far to ride.
Well, it depends. No, it depends on where you are because Australia has a lot of regional stuff going on. You know, somebody from Perth versus somebody from Sydney have very different Australian accents. But the one thing that unites them is their hatred for when Americans bring up Crocodile Dundee or Foster's.
They don't like shrimps on the Barbie there.
Yeah, no, they can't fucking
Fucking
stand it.
You can't eat it in Outback.
Foster, Australian for camel piss. Just like you guys know what camels are.
Where's your Outback
Cool.
at? Do they even have an Outback in Australia?
Have you seen this? These are smartphones.
No, they just call it the steakhouse.
No, but I'm seriously like, has Outback had the balls enough to open up a restaurant in Australia?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I didn't see one while I was there, but then again, I wasn't really.
I mean,
I didn't
it's a
spend
big
a whole lot.
country, I
I didn't
guess.
spend a whole lot of time in the city center, man. And where I did, there wasn't much. The one thing I thought was really cool is I didn't run into a lot of chain stuff, and if I did, it was Australian chains, and there wasn't like they had their American Embassy, McDonald's kind of crap, and that kind of filth there.
Starbucks.
Yeah, but there wasn't a whole lot of like.
Don't besmirch the Donalds on.
I
here,
didn't
though.
see. I
We're
didn't
looking for
see.
sponsorship.
I didn't see a Pizza Hut or any of those kind of things there. You know, and I feel
Yeah,
like
that's
if I
good.
would have asked for a Pizza Hut, they would have been like, "Mate, nah."
I had a Marco's pepperoni magnifico tonight, and don't sleep on a pepperoni magnifico. I'll just throw that out there.
From where? From the Hut?
From Marco's,
Oh,
yeah,
Marco's.
like as far as chain restaurants go, man, Marco's
Okay.
is they're hitting on all cylinders right now.
I don't know.
To stay, when you're talking about Australia, did you what was it? You ever hear of the Big Les show? That animated.
Yeah.
No.
It's pretty. Apparently, I don't know what part. If it's a specific part of Australia, or if it was like after you were there. But I recently discovered it. It's fucking hilarious. It's like Australian King of the Hill meets fantasy adventure weird. But it was this guy drew it all in MS Paint.
Oh,
And,
really?
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I would check it out. The first like 4 or 5 episodes are kind of like it was a guy just doing stoner shit with his buddies. But then after that, he realized he's like, oh, people actually like this, and he turned it into a crazy story. So after episode like 5, there's this really weird shift, and you're like, what the fuck? And then it ends up turning into like this sci-fi like adventure series. It's amazing.
It's like the South Park story arc. Went from an email to a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah,
those guys have a killer sense of humor, man. The Australians, I love their sense of humor.
Because
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I'll check it out. I want to see. Yeah, it sounds like it could be like the Australian Kilkenny. Letterkenny.
Letterkenny's funny.
Letterkenny's good.
At the end, I teared up on the last episode. Like the characters, they build them up, and the animation style improves steadily as it goes. And I think Comedy Central or Cartoon Network adopted them for like little interstitials or something.
Okay,
probably yeah. Adult Swim probably did their bumpers.
Yeah, I think they did pull them in, but it's
cool.
It is very funny, especially like season 2 is when it really comes into its own. Yeah. He does like a feature-length episode each season. It's crazy, man. It's really good.
I hate it when cartoons make me cry, man. Bluey made me cry not too long ago. Yeah.
The older I get, I feel like I get more emotional like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cried watching a commercial for hand soap a little while back. Just like the music, the vibe. I looked at my kids and I was like, God damn, man.
Give Papa
I'm gonna go wash my fucking hands right now.
Come give Papa.
Just fucking give a hormone imbalance, man.
You need more iron in your diet.
I was like, I'm gonna go play. I'm gonna go up to the garage. I'm gonna go play with some power tools.
Just hammer nails into a board.
Yeah, swing a hammer around a little bit.
Clean one of your guns.
Weld something, and
weld something.
Then I come
in 2:30 in the morning.
I come in and I picked up the bottle of Gojo and it started welling up. I said, God damn it! No, there was so with the Australian humor, there was this video. At least as my mind remembers it, and I may be incorrect on this, but there was a guy who was calling into places that he didn't work and calling in sick.
That's good stuff.
Fuck, man! Like at that moment, I was just like, that's it, man. In like
the humor doesn't get any better than this.
My heart belongs to those people, right? Or like the kid. There was a kid in Australia who, like, he threw some sort of rager and got like he got in trouble for it, and then the internet like he was getting interviewed, and he was just like, yeah, it was fucking awesome. He should have been like, yeah, I learned my lesson. He's like, nah, I threw the biggest fucking party I could. You know, just yes, exactly what he said. But yeah, that was an awesome place, man. When I was there, I was stuck immediately in a vehicle, and I am, as many people know, terminally American. Like, I just am. The thing that killed me the most was putting on the turn signal and actually activating the windshield wipers constantly, or shifting onto the wrong side of the road while I was driving. Like within 12 hours of being in Australia and driving, I hit a wallaby and a couple of like birds. Like, and it was just, I mean, we were up in the middle of nowhere. We were outside of Darwin.
How big is a wallaby when you hit a wallaby? And do you keep going, or do you have to stop?
Well, we stopped because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like suffering and having to go like, you know, I was gonna finish it off.
You wanted to kill a wallaby, didn't you?
No, I did not want to kill a
You were
wallaby.
gonna
I felt
mount it.
really bad.
You watched the life go out of its eyes.
We creamed it. We were driving it. We must have been clocking at least 80 kilometers.
I'll never know how fast it is.
Yeah. On the American dial, we were doing about 70. In the metric system, I don't remember what it was, but it was a really awkward situation driving, like, because then it started getting into driving the Utes, right, like on the tracks out there in the actual outback, and they had it was a Toyota Hilux, which is a really awesome, like, it's a great pickup.
Oh, I wish it would sold here.
But it was manual. It was manual, and luckily I know how to drive a manual, but I'd never in my life driven a manual where the right hand was on the wheel and the left hand was doing the shifting. And I'm going through like deep sand and across beaches and stuff, and I'm like, fuck, I'm totally out of my element. Okay, like I'm in my element, but I'm way out of my element. I'm all about, like, everything is all, it's backwards, man. It's like when you get into like a flight simulator and the controls, like you keep forgetting that down is up and up is down. But
so was the clutch on the left side or the right side?
The clutch was still the same, and like when I got in, I was like immediately like looking around, and all the guys started gathering around, like laughing, like, "Yeah, fucking American," you know. And like, you get on the right side of the road, you pelican.
What'd they call Americans there?
Nothing.
They have a slang for us.
Nothing in my face. I think they call us
Nothing in my face.
Yanks, yeah, is the big one.
But plus, I was up in the middle of like all the white people that I saw were like either on vacation up there on holiday or whatever, or they were miners, like working in the lithium mines.
Well, why were you around all the kids?
What's that?
Why were you around all the children?
Children? Oh, I was there on a grant from the local Australian government to reach out to Aboriginal tribes and kind of show them some VFX stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It was a really cool experience, man. I'd love to go back. Like I went once with Noman, and then I came back for that trip. I went with Noman to Melbourne and did some presentation where I met a lady there who was like, you know, all of us stayed at the place, and she's like, I've got the perfect thing for you. You love being outdoors. You love camping. She's like, how would you feel about going up to the outback and going like giving a presentation to some Aboriginal communities about VFX, kind of show them what you do and teach them what you do. I'm like, I'm in, you know, because she's just like, we get people who do VFX, but they kind of like generally want to be a little more wined and dined and have like accommodations, you know, like we're going to go places where there's bugs and that kind of stuff. And I was expecting, like, I'm like, lady, I went to Samoa, and I lived in Samoa for 8 months. And I lived in a hut in a fale, wearing nothing but a little skirt. So I'm your guy. And I had a great
really
time.
Short too, I hope.
Yeah, micro skirt. It was, they tried to tell me, no, it's okay, you can wear pants, and I was like, nope, I'm doing it. I'm doing it as the Romans. I'm doing it as the Romans do.
I bought 7 of them.
You got any tinfoil? I want to bounce some sun off my yams here. Going to even me out.
They don't quite go all the way around, so your ass hangs out.
Yeah. Oh man, that's everything. You be a fat guy. That's everything.
It didn't quite fit like it did in the picture.
You got anything that's not a double medium?
You got to put 2 of them on. Put one on the front, one on the back.
I need you to. Asked if they got the lap extender, the seatbelt extender on the little push plane, and they just kind of laughed at me and got out the shoehorn. Yeah, all the.
I laughed earlier when you say that. I've laughed before when you say it, because Like, and I'm first of all, let me say this: I'm glad that there was an opportunity like that you got to take advantage of, and I think that's amazing that some people got to take advantage of an opportunity like that. But as an old cynic, I go like, what was the return on investment there? That they spent all that money to send
It flew me
visual effects artists to Aboriginal tribes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just wondering how it actually, like, who that was probably cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not really in a position to speak on how the Australian government wants to spend their grant
No, that's
money.
what I mean. Like, but what a, hey, cool. But
But
like, what a strange,
Yeah.
It's I think I have my thoughts, but I'm not gonna get into it.
Oh, this is where you tread lightly is when speaking on the Australian government.
Well, nah, it just goes down. Well, because here's the thing, man. I had a lot of discussions with people while I was there, which is kind of a rare thing. Like the Aboriginals are very picky and choosy about when they talk to you, how they talk to you, especially if you're not one of them. They're real weary of outsiders, and so it's a sensitive thing for me because the conversation,
Especially bearded ghost man in skirt.
yeah, the conversations I had with those guys was really real. With a lot of those people, it was very, very real, and there's a lot of crazy things going on where they're trying to keep their sovereignty, and the government is, being a government, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I kind of, yeah. It's again. It was. I was there as a guest. Everybody was really, really hospitable. And in the case that anybody who remembers me and is watching this sees me, I just want them to know. I remember it. It had a big impact on me, and yeah, I don't have much to say publicly about it, other than I hope those guys wish the best for those communities.
Oh yes, 100%. Like, please don't ever think that mine was anything poo-pooing on the journey or the the whole thing that took place. But like, yep. I just think, like they spent a whole bunch of. How many people went with you?
It was just me on that.
It was just you by yourself.
Yep. Yeah, I was solo.
I mean, I had you a backpack, and we're like, here's a water bottle. Have a good time.
I had some people escort me. But like going into Arnhem Land is like a serious deal, man. There's one. I'll expand on it a little more. Going into Arnhem Land is really cool because it's a really like there's one way into Arnhem Land, and there's one way out of Arnhem Land, and that is across this crossing called Cahill's Crossing. That's up just north of a town called Jabiru, which is a big mining town. Up there, it's kind of the edge. It's the frontier of where some gigantic lithium deposits sit.
Oh, wow.
So Jabiru is right there, and then you go north about 40 minutes, and you hit the crossing, Cahill's Crossing, to go into Arnhem Land, and it's a river crossing. And the river, you have to wait for low tide to come in or to leave, and it's full of crocodiles. Like you drive like a foot of water at the lowest, and there's crocodiles right there. You look out the window, crocs. Like you go in that water, that's your ass. You're done. Real crocs.
Dude, that's crazy.
Not those Disneyland ones.
And the government there offers multiple times every year to build a bridge, and the Aborigines all say,
yes, they do.
We'll think about it.
They're cool. One with the crocodile.
Because of reasons, right? So,
yeah.
So good for them, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but getting into Arnhem Land, like once you're in Arnhem Land, it's pretty wild. Like it's a really like, man. I've been on reservations here in the U.S. where things like felt sketchy for me, being an outsider, being a white guy, and I've been in the hood in Los Angeles and in bad neighborhoods all over the place, and I have never in my life felt that hair on the back of my neck standing up, Wild West feeling like I did in some of those towns where
you
like
get a dart in the back of the neck.
You see the looks like, what are you doing here? everybody's pretty friendly, but then every once in a while you'll see the kind of like, you'll get the not so welcome feeling, and it was really like, man, it's just crazy energy. But overall, it was so cool. I got people showed me stuff where I was just like, it's so humbling to be exposed.
I mean, all this stuff was like predetermined, I guess. It wasn't like you just snuck up on people with visual effects.
No.
Hey, let me show you some magic.
Hey, let me see some magic here, kid. Look at this.
We rolled through. There's a lot.
I got a portable DVD player. Oh yeah, everybody huddle around.
There's a lot of land out there where there used to be they would drop off like leper colonies before everything was recognized as a nation. So there was a lot of areas where like people hadn't been set foot down since the 1700s. We flew over it in a little bush plane and checked stuff out, and it was just like, it was wild, man. Lots of stuff like that. And then this one town, they took us up to this rock escarpment, and we climbed up in there, and they showed us, like, they stopped and prayed first, and then they showed us like all these bones that were like stuffed back in the rocks, and they were like, we just had these bones returned to us like 20, 30 years ago. Or not even, no, it was less than that. It was like 5 or 10 years ago. They had been in a museum. They'd been pilfered and taken like out of that by museum, people who hunt for museums and stuff, and put in museums, and they got them all recovered and put back into their resting place. And they're like, these are our ancestors.
Dude, that's
pile of bones.
wild.
And I was just like, thank you for sharing this with us, man. Like, I don't know what else to say. That is like, that's so humbling to be there and be, and get shown that. And I was just kind of like, part of me was also like, are these, are these the bones of all the tourists that got lippy with you? Joking, of course. The guy laughed. He was like, yeah. good sense of humor on those guys.
And then you bought his pamphlet later.
Yeah, but those guys were crazy. I mean, it was such a wild thing, man. Like, you just don't see certain things anywhere you go in the U.S. There's certain things that you just don't see, right? Like a big tree full of flying foxes that are the size of small dogs hanging in the trees, squawking as the sun's coming up, or like a crocodile that got up out of the billabong and is too close to where all the little kids are getting their first grade education. Maybe in Florida, but
yeah.
I don't know, man. It was a really cool experience. It was really wild. I would love to go back and contribute something again sometime. It's just so like, Australia is wild, man. It's a huge, mind-blowingly huge place.
Yeah, it's just like all outback too. It's
Yeah.
Like, it's the cities on the coast, but
There's
no
very
outback. There's no
small.
outback.
There's like where the people are is very concentrated. It's dense where the people are. But like, I stopped on the way home. I flew and had a stopover in Cairns, and that's somewhere I'd love to go back. Like, if I haven't been to Perth yet, or the Kimberleys, or any of the places like on the kind of western coast, as it were. But man, I fell in love with Cairns. That place was beautiful.
Cairns?
Cairns.
Was that part of the would you call Arnhem Land?
No, it's southeast of Arnhem Land a little bit. It's kind of like just on the edge of it. Because Arnhem Land, you got Darwin. Darwin is right up on the top kind of leftish area. And then if you head east a couple hundred miles east, you get into Arnhem Land, and Arnhem Land's that whole kind of top right chunk of it. But there's a bunch of other areas that are sacred land, outback territory and stuff, like Uluru, which is the big Ayers Rock, whatever they call it. That's kind of further south. There's a whole bunch of sacred spots, and like I mentioned, the Kimberleys is another place. It's kind of
Can you climb up on that rock.
northwestern. I don't think you can walk on Uluru anymore.
Sacred.
Yeah, but it's got a really weird, from the stories everybody's told me that was there. It's got a really weird, like, kind of a gradual slope to the point where like you can easily just walk too far and it gets slippy, and then you just go tumbling off the edge.
Oh,
You
God.
don't realize it's kind of like one of those like houses of mystery that you see in the middle of Wisconsin or Ohio or just the woods anywhere, where they're like, watch water flow uphill. Like, it's like it's kind of like one of those deals. It's kind of like one of those deals where you just get disoriented and you don't realize, because of the way all the angles are and everything, you don't realize how, aside from like your feeling of gravity pulling on you, and it's easy to lose your perspective, which is probably one of the reasons why the people there made it a sacred place.
Yeah, that's somewhere I want to take the family.
Yeah, it's amazing, dude. There's so much cool stuff there. When I was there, my time was limited and I was kind of on somebody else's schedule, and it was still one of the coolest trips ever. Like the plane ride kind of sucks, 14.
So how do you get fucked up in the outback? So what do they have? Like, do they have drinks? Do they have like some kind of weird weed? Would they have like some kind of
Jabiru has a liquor store. It's like a state-run liquor store, and you got to show, like, you got to write your name down on a list. You have to show that you are not an Aborigine, and there's there's a whole bunch of like checks and balances that you got to do to get your stuff there, and yeah, it's you just buy a big thing of booze.
Well, I didn't know. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if it was like you had to stock up before you went out there.
No. I mean, we did just because we stocked up in Darwin before we drove, and then bought some more stuff when we got to Jabiru.
Hey guys, I'll be right back.
Okay. But yeah, it's like going to any other country. Like, for instance, we go to Iceland. I bought as much alcohol and stuff as I could at the duty free, and then just loaded it into our bags in a van. Got a cooler, picked up a cooler at duty free and loaded that up. And then, we're glad we did, man, because we did 2 weeks around that island and then doing like stocked up in Reykjavik before we headed out, because there is nothing. And I mean, fucking nothing out there. And in Iceland, man, that entire 2 weeks, the homie and I were just pissing post expiration lamb meat soup out of our asses into the ditch.
Oh, God.
And there's not a whole lot else to eat, man, other than those little road stop places. It's just not, if you're not used to having that kind of stuff, or like, in the off season, it is what it is, right? Like, you go in, you get all the meats named really funny, so you don't exactly know what you're buying because it doesn't have like the English name of it, but you get like Hamburgerburger.
What's the weirdest meat you think you've eaten on one of these trips?
The Hakarl.
What was that?
The shark. Pickled shark.
Cured shark, huh?
Cured basking shark. It was, it's one of those things where I still don't understand it. Like, I knew about it going there, and I was like, I'm gonna do it for the great comedy, right? Like, I need to have this under my belt as a story to tell. And it was a little tiny chunk, man, the tiniest little chunk. I had to work so hard to force it into my mouth, because if you can imagine having 5 cats that used one litter box for a month, and you just let that litter box fucking cook for like another month, and then just crushed it all into a little tiny ball of ammonia and just put it, eat it in your mouth. Like, I was already like tearing up and like losing my breath. Like, if you get, something with a little too much wasabi, like that times 20, right? Like, it's just burning my nose, burning my eyes. Like, I felt like my eyebrows were melting off. And just for this little tiny, like, pea-sized chunk of it. And I barely got it in. And then when I finally tried to swallow, I was just, like, just, my body on a molecular level is just like, refusing it, man. My body was like, abort everything. Like the little dudes that run my body and my brain were just like running around like,
having a fire sale, everything out. Over,
yeah. This is it, guys. This is the end. He's lost his shit. He's eating cat piss.
Now, is this one of those things that like they make Americans eat, or foreigners eat to laugh at, or is this thing something they actually eat?
It is. It's a local.
Or like grandpa's eat.
It's not something that you could find easily. Like, I looked around for it a little bit in Reykjavik and I didn't see it anywhere. But when we found it on the Where were we? We were closer to like Kirkyfell. Is that the shark fin mountain one? I think that's called Kirkyfell. We found it over there, and then I came across it again on the northern side of the island. And it's just kind of like we found the place where they actually make it. We didn't get too close, but we smelled it from the road, and I was like, "That's
I was about to say that has to be
gotta
like
be it.
the worst
Yeah, man.
experience ever.
If it
ammonia.
makes Andrew Zimmerman throw up,
Yeah.
that guy will eat garbage.
It was
Yeah,
right.
you will.
Yeah, that kid's like snacking on like a dead skunk. Just
You know, in the Philippines,
it's
they
got
love
that-
a dried out skunk.
It's that earthy flavor. I mean, this beats durian by a long shot.
It's still squishy. This is gonna be a treat.
Yeah, it's got that earthy flavor to it. We say earthy, and whenever he would say earthy, my mind would just be like dirt.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what that
tastes
means,
like beets,
right?
like, tastes like beets. Like
See,
beets.
I'm not a mushroom guy. I don't
Beets are
like
that
mushrooms
flavor.
because I feel like they taste like dirt.
Yeah, I don't know. Mushrooms don't taste like dirt to me like beets do. Like beets taste like dirt.
See, I kind of like
Just
beets.
taking a
Well, I
bite
don't
out
like
of
'em,
potato,
but I
too?
can eat them.
A raw potato? Raw potato. That
I know you're getting in touch.
Why would you do that?
That's you getting in touch with the earth. That's letting the electricity flow
It's
through.
either being lazy or
I like
just
Mother Earth on Mother Guy on my tongue.
Mother God.
Who does?
That's a wild ride.
Oh, the Mother God thing. Did you see that, Stevens?
That's wild.
What
don't
was
think
that?
so.
What was the name of that show on HBO? That documentary.
What was it
About this
called?
girl that she died, and she was taken like she went crazy, I guess, and she had this cult. She was a leader of the cult. She thought that there was all these. She was actually God, but that she was led by a higher power, and that she would be taken in their spaceship one day. But the council of the higher power was like Robin Williams. And and she started taking, what was it, a colloidal silver?
Yeah, silver
Or
yeah.
whatever. And it ended up killing her and turned her blue. And then like her cult kept her in the bed and it was like worshiping her after she was dead and like all starting to mummify her or whatever.
That's just a tale as old as time.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
is.
I mean, it was pretty interesting. I get into the those kind
It's
of
the wrong song. Yeah.
Sorry, am I getting played off? Is this I can't think. I want to thank the Academy and
I think he was trying to sing "Tale as Old as Time."
But I was singing the "Let me show you the world." We saw Alan Menken, the guy who wrote all those Disney songs, live in LA. It was cool, man, to see him just play and sing them and stuff. I was like, wow. I'm not a Disney head by any means, but
Yeah, it
I
sounds
was
like it,
impressed.
dude.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I would always, I've always wanted to see watch a movie and have the old the band pit play the music for it. They do that with John Williams or something like that, don't they?
Yeah.
You can see they're doing that thing here in Vegas right now where you can go see Lord of the Rings with the orchestra. I
That'd
think.
be
Or they did, or they're doing it.
That would be really cool, man.
That is pretty cool.
Dude,
That's
would
like
be
having
amazing.
karaoke with a real band. That excites me.
Dude, it'd be pretty cool, man.
One of the weirdest live score things I saw was it was in LA. If any of you have ever been to, it's closed now, but Cinefamily was the old silent movie theater. They turned it into almost like a movie museum. And anyway, they had the short films of Roman Polanski, but they had student films and short films. But these two dudes from Poland, they would live score Foley and want dialogue, and they had looping stations, analog looping stations. So they'd the movie would be playing and they'd start playing a riff, then they'd start looping that, then they'd start doing sound effects for all the things happening in the short. It was so
That's pretty
rad.
cool.
It was cool. I mean, and it was super intimate too, because it was, it's a tiny old school theater, but it obviously wasn't an orchestra, but it was the same idea, right? Live
2-bit orchestra.
That's really cool.
No, it was just two
That'd be cool.
dudes, not 2-bit.
Yeah, no, that's I'd pay to see that.
That's like
I'd
a
pay-
Blue Man Group -1.
Yeah, it really is. That's a very good observation.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thanks. We're all about getting each other's back around here. So
I need to go
appreciate
see the
that.
Blue Man Group out here. I need to go check them out.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, look, I know they've been around for a really long time, but it's like I can't imagine they don't put on a really good show. Like, very entertaining.
Sure. I saw Carrot Top here. I've seen Penn and Teller. Penn and Teller, I didn't see why we moved here, but before then, and that was awesome.
How was old Carrot Top? Was he still?
Carrot Top was funny, dude.
So he's still getting it? Is he still into it, or is he like phoning it in?
No, he still kind of got it. It's pretty funny, actually. His stuff is he gets a little more political.
He is a strange looking son of a bitch, isn't he?
Well, it's not like doing a bunch of plastic surgery helped that.
Yeah. And
he claims he has an enemy.
Yeah, he's huge too.
You see his arms now, Zach? They're all like
He's so big.
No, he's not anymore.
Oh no, he's not.
Really? He got? Did he get it?
He deflated.
He deflated.
Cut it back a touch.
Dude, he got pretty big.
He was yoked for a while there, for sure.
I remember he was on some gear, dude, for sure.
There's no way he wasn't, because I mean, look, I know you can get to certain levels like naturally, but there's certain that bulk.
It takes years and years.
That bulk. I don't know how, without having the DNA makeup to have that already. Like, I don't know how you just put that on without having some kind of enhancement.
He was in personal trainer
and dumbbells, man.
Yeah, he was in personal trainer gear territory for sure.
He's just doing burpees.
Yeah,
he just burpeed his ass off it, and then this is the way he looks.
Chin ups.
Chin ups. One of the best. It's the best bicep exercise you can get, Josh.
Yeah.
Well, you take that.
I can't do them.
I can do like 4, maybe.
Yeah, you can. I believe it.
Well, I can't currently do them.
He's gonna make you. Josh will make you.
I need some.
He just blood eye screams at you.
Josh,
do it.
Somebody screaming at me motivates me.
That's what I mean. Just,
bleaking blood out of your mouth like a fucking snake.
Yeah.
Till he just passes out. Right when he passes out, you get that pull up done. I did it, Josh. Oh shit.
Me in the background.
No one to witness.
Your eyes and the ears and nose and mouth starts bleeding as you're saying it. You just scream over and over and over.
Feeding you milk.
Feeding me milk.
He needs that milk.
Got gerbil water bottle there, just full of milk. You're all fours.
Filled with milk and raw eggs. It's just,
don't give him water. He needs milk.
yeah. Water.
Well, guys, I think we're kind of get to the end of this thing, huh?
Is that it?
Well, yeah. I think we're kind of wrapping up with.
Hey, you know what? That's what everybody know too. This episode goes out to JoJo Siwa.
It does, really.
What happened?
Nice.
What happened with her?
I suppose.
Just everybody.
JoJo Siwa. We want to thank for the what was the shout out there all about?
She paid me for a cameo.
Did she? She paid you for a cameo. Oh, okay. I'm glad we got that knocked out.
That's beautiful, man.
It was nice. It was nice. Well, everybody help. You know what? I'm gonna say it right here. I think the whole smash the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to, I think that's become the new www from websites, right? Like, who really needs to say that? If you're watching my YouTube, of course I want you to subscribe. Right. Like, well, I didn't subscribe. He didn't ask me to.
They can be subversive and say, "Don't you dare hit that subscribe!"
Yeah, subscribe if you want. If you don't, that's fine.
Listen, you do what you want, but if you hit that button, it tells the algorithm that you want more of this.
That is very true. That is very true. If you have anything to say for our audio listeners, which will be joining us very soon, email us at podcast@deepfriedpixels.com to, I don't know, harass us, send us money, send us, send all the nudies to Zach. But
and if you have questions about your constitutional rights, too.
Yeah, you have your questions and constitutional rights, but they must be accompanied by a nudie.
Yeah, this episode of Deep Fried Pixels has been brought to you by the First Amendment.
I love it.
Thank you, First Amendment.
Well, gentlemen, does anybody else have anything else to say? No. All right. Well, I guess we'll see everybody next week. Later.
Guten Tag. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.